The big question, should you move to a high-rise on the Las Vegas Strip or should you move into a luxury home in a gated community? I'm going to share with you the pros and cons of each, so stay tuned to find out what's best for you. Standing in this gorgeous luxury home built by Blue Heron, over 9,800 square feet. Yes, 9,800 square feet. That's what you get when you buy a luxury home in Las Vegas compared to a high-rise. Now, high-rises can go up to, if you're doing a penthouse, up to 4,000 square feet, but those are quite rare. Here in Las Vegas, we have massive mansions like this one. Lots of square footage to entertain your friends, your family. If you have a large family, plenty of bedrooms to host everyone, where everyone is not on top of each other like you would be if you were living in a high-rise. Private yard. You get this private space that's just yours that you don't have to share with anybody else. The thing with high-rises is a lot of those amenities like the pool and spa were built when the condo was built. So some of those are like 10 plus years old and a bit dated. You are sharing those spaces versus here, you can create whatever you want. You can update the backyard if you buy a resale, and you can create a space that's fit for you and your family, and it's all private. You don't have to share it with anybody. You can do whatever you want. Non-shared amenities. So in a high-rise, you are going to have conference rooms, pools, spas, gyms, all of that stuff included in your HOA. And while that is amazing, especially if you're like me and you don't like to maintain anything, it's a total bonus. But when you're in a beautiful custom home like this, you have your own game room and your own facilities that you do not have to share, just like this. In a luxury home community like this, you have lower HOA payments. So if you're someone who doesn't need a lot, you don't need all of these amenities and all of these things that, aren't important to you, then staying in a luxury home community may be best. Most of them have guard gates or gates, security, parks, and different amenities like that, and you're gonna pay under $400. Whereas when you go into these high rises, you're looking at $400 plus, and some of them even go up to $3,000 to $4,000 a month. You get a lot for that money, don't get me wrong, but if you're someone who doesn't use all that stuff, you don't want to share common amenities in the gym and all those things, then being in a luxury home community is probably key for you. The great thing about a luxury home is you can do what you want on the inside. Now, as a real estate professional, I ask that you ask a real estate professional before you get too crazy on the inside, but you can do what you want. Now, with the condo buildings, a lot of them have boards that you have to submit your designs and get approval from before you can even get started. Sounds like a pain in the butt. Now, when you have a luxury home in a gated community, you do have to worry about the exterior. There are rules and regulations for that. But on the inside, you can do whatever you want and no one's gonna tell you any different. Now, while living in a luxury home is awesome, you get to do what you want on the inside. It's all private. You get an awesome backyard. There are some cons, so let's get into those. First off, there is a lot of maintenance that comes with a luxury home. Just look around. Tons of landscaping. You got the front fountain here. You got a backyard. You got to think about all this stuff. I've moved clients from San Francisco and even New York, and they've all moved from high rises to these gorgeous luxury homes. And they've called me and said, Courtney, these homes are a lot of work. I have to manage the pest guy, the pool guy, the landscape guy. There's all these things I gotta worry about. Whereas before, I didn't worry about anything. I made one phone call and someone handled it all for me. So there are some management companies out here in Las Vegas I would love to recommend. If you're someone looking at a luxury home, you don't wanna deal with any of that. There are companies that will handle and be house managers for you. But it is a big concern and something to think about when it comes to moving to a luxury home. gonna have higher utility bills. Now, when you're going from a high-rise condo that's 1,200 to 2,000 square feet to a 10,000 square foot home, you can imagine what your utility bill looks like come summertime when it's 115 degrees outside. A lot of the high-rise buildings in that HOA that's higher than it would be if you're in a luxury home, those come with some utilities like gas, sewer, trash, some things that you don't have to think about. Whereas when you're in a luxury home, you have to worry about all those things. So something to think about when it comes to looking at how much you want to spend every single month. Do you want to spend it through the HOA and get all these amenities included and maybe some utilities? Or do you want to be completely on your own with that? Yes, so if you live in a 5,000 plus square foot luxury home with a ton of bedrooms and you don't have a lot of family members, and there might be only 2 of you, you might have a lot of guests who say, hey, you live in that large, gorgeous luxury home with tons of space. Why don't I just stay with you? Now that could be a pro or that could be a con, depending. But if you live in a high-rise condo, now you probably only have 1,200 to 2,200 square feet, 1 bedroom plus a den. You don't have a lot of space for guests, and it's really easy for you to say, hey, you know, we don't have a ton of space. Why don't you go stay at a hotel or somewhere else? Versus when you have this large luxury home, it's really hard to say no. So this is definitely something to consider when it comes to deciding between a luxury home and a high-rise condo. Before we continue to the pros and cons of high-rise living, my name is Courtney Bentley, your luxury real estate agent located here in Las Vegas. I provide a concierge type service so that you don't have to worry about anything when it comes to moving here and relocating to this fabulous city. A pro about living in a high-rise condo is that you have less square footage to take care of. Now, compared to this luxury home I'm in, it's almost 10,000 square feet. There is a lot of square footage here. You have higher utility bills, a lot more maintenance, a lot more to think about. Whereas in a high-rise condo, it's a lock and leave type lifestyle. You have way less to care for and way less to think about. As someone who's lived in a high-rise and a luxury home, I can share with you, it can get quite lonely in these luxury home communities because there are no social events. There are no ways to meet people. Whereas in a high-rise building, you're constantly surrounded by new people, constantly seeing people. And a lot of these high-rise buildings have social calendars, social activities, and things to do. They also have tons of common areas. So for me, when I lived in One Queensridge Place, I would just go down to get my coffee. Someone else would be down there, I'd be able to go up and say hi. I was constantly networking and socializing. Versus in my luxury home community, unless I was involved in that country club, which I was when I lived in my luxury home, I wasn't meeting anybody. I felt very alone. So if you're somebody who likes to socialize, likes to see a lot of people, then high-rise living might be for you. Living in a high-rise, you're gonna get a pool, you're gonna get a gym, you're gonna get a spa, you're gonna get all of these amazing amenities, and you don't have to worry about any of them. They're just there, they're just maintained. And you don't even have to think twice about it. It's part of your HOA. So if you're someone like me, I'm a low maintenance kind of gal when it comes to like my house and my lifestyle. It is perfect because you don't have to worry about anything. Now, these areas are shared, which could be annoying. For me, I like to socialize, so I enjoy socializing and meeting people, but not having to think twice about a beautiful pool and maintaining it, not having to think twice about the spa, I'm in. Another pro about living in the high-rise condos is that you don't have to worry about security. There is guard gates in the front of these high-rise condos. There's security right in the front. Some of these even have elevators that only go to your unit. So if you're someone who's very concerned about security, you're a lock and leave type of person, you don't want a ton of maintenance, then a high-rise condo is definitely for you. Something else I already spoke about is lower utility bills that you're going to experience when you're in a smaller space versus in a luxury home, but I won't go into that because I already talked about it. Now, I've talked about a bunch of pros about living in a high-rise condo. Let's get into the cons. A con about living in a high-rise building is shared walls. Can you imagine living next door to someone who is super duper loud? You're sharing a wall with them and there's nothing you can do. If you're living in a condotel like Vidara, where there's a revolving door next door to you, you really don't know what you're gonna end up with. You might have someone super sweet and quiet that's just in and out, or you might have someone who's super duper loud. While these buildings build their buildings so you shouldn't hear your neighbor, you just never know. And that's definitely something to consider, is that you are sharing walls in these high-rise buildings. Another con is the high HOA bills. Now, they do include a lot. You get tons of amenities, you get the security, and some of them even include your utilities. But I already spoke about that in the residential section, so let's move on to the next con. The next con is lack of privacy. So if you're a very, very private person, you don't want anyone knowing what packages are coming to you, you don't want anyone snooping around and knowing who's leaving and coming to your place, then a high-rise building is probably not for you. There is zero privacy there. You have staff that's constantly there securing the building, you have nosy neighbors, versus when you're in a luxury home community, it's much more quieter. You're not having people sitting in the lobby, watching people go up and down, making gossip, doing different things. I've heard tons of stories in my time. For me, I don't mind that stuff. I live my life. I'm very social. I enjoy socializing and meeting new people. But if you're someone who is super duper private, then you're probably gonna wanna move into a luxury home. In my opinion, high-rise or luxury home, for me, I'm all about the high-rise lifestyle. I love socializing. I love the ease of not worrying about anything. I love going down the elevator and going to a magnificently maintained pool and spa. I love being able to walk somewhere if I want to. Whereas living in a luxury home, you don't have all of those amazing amenities. But for someone who likes to host parties, which I love to host a good bash, I love having a luxury home with tons of space to have all my friends and family over and host them in my space. So it's a little tough for me. My husband actually prefers luxury lifestyle in a home, whereas me, I prefer the high-rise, but it really is truly up to the person and what type of lifestyle you want to create here in Las Vegas. If you're thinking about moving to Las Vegas and want to learn more about the neighborhoods, check out the videos on this screen. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one.